Good afternoon. First, let me say that we are here with the parents of Trayvon Martin, Sabrina Fulton, and Tracy Martin, along with his brother, Attorney Ben Crumpton, Attorney Park, and we have Reverend Jamal Bryant from the Empowerment Movement, and others, Dr. Charles Ogletree is joining us, and others that are here for the National Action Network Convention. We are very happy that in the midst of all that is going on, that the parents and attorneys wanted to come to the convention and share with those leaders from around the country that have been fighting and to make it a national and international issue about justice for Trayvon Martin. They said very early they wanted to come themselves and see the people that have been in the trenches supporting them and will continue to support them. Let me make a couple of things clear. One, we made a commitment as an organization, and people have made a commitment across organizational lines, that we are going to support this family until justice has been achieved. This case is a case to us that represents far too often what happens in our community, where there is a double standard. We are not seeking to convict anybody. We're seeking to stop them from acquitting someone without a trial. We are not trying to rush to judgment. We are trying to stop the rush to judgment that Mr. Zimmerman apparently made on the night of February 26th. Let us remember, and a lot of the media in many ways distort this. Trayvon Martin committed no crime. He had no weapon. And he had every legal right to be where he was. Right. The rush to judgment was those that moved against him, said he was suspicious, and took his life. So to lecture us about rushing to judgment, we're a victim of a rush to judgment in this case. Let's be real clear on that. Now, the other thing that I want us to be very clear, this family has said from the beginning, and we that came in early have said, and I repeat, we do not condone or support in any way any acts or language of violence. Trayvon Martin's name must not be tarnished by those that are either for or against us with any reckless behavior, even verbally. It is imperative that we make it clear this family has denounced anything other than nonviolent and peaceful protest. We are not in the business of revenge. We're in the business of justice. And anyone that operates in any other spirit or is not operating in the spirit set by this family. From day one, when I sat with them, and Attorney Crump and Attorney Park, I've been very moved and impressed by the dignity and integrity that these parents have demonstrated. Not a word of rancor, even in private. So yes, there are many that get emotional, there are many that get involved, but they should not take it upon themselves to disparage the name of Trayvon in the name of their anger. Yes, we all angry, but you can't be more upset than his parents. And if they can operate with dignity, then all of us must operate with dignity. We must make the justice system work, otherwise this movement is for nothing. To go outside of the justice system is to achieve nothing. What we want is to make sure the justice system is corrected and works. Anything short of that is short of the goals and the principles that were outlined. So I want us to be real clear. It is also, again, at our convention, our quest is on probable cause, the immediate arrest of Mr. Zimmerman. When you heard his lawyers yesterday, or his ex-lawyers, or his ex-legal advisors say themselves that they don't know where he is, it is unheard of for someone to kill an unarmed innocent man and walk out the police station. And now we are told 43 days later that they can't even reach him, his own lawyers. So there's no officer of the court, no lawyer responsible for him, no one to reach him. This family has their child that has been killed for no reason, no wrong. And we don't know where he is. He should be apprehended immediately. He should have been held that night. Can you imagine if this had been in another community? This is unheard of, and we feel it should be corrected. The Attorney General spoke here this morning about the federal investigation. We are waiting to see what the state prosecutor does. We are, again, clearly involved in this for an issue of justice. Lastly, I want us to be very clear. This is not anti-anybody. There are whites, blacks, Latinos, Asians that have marched with us, that stand with us. We are not running a hate campaign. This is a love campaign. We love our children. We love Trayvon. We are not even anti-Zimmerman. We're anti those that feel they can break the law and not have to stand before the bar of justice. So this is not about we are after Zimmerman. We're after justice. And we're for Trayvon. This is a love campaign. Don't distort. To pursue justice for an unarmed man who died for no reason is not hate, it's love. Only those that don't want to stand for justice confuse love with hate. We are here because we love justice and we love victims of injustice. And that's what Trayvon Martin is. I'll give you now the attorney for the family, Attorney Ben Crump.
Good morning. I come here with Trayvon's parents, Sabrina Fulton and Tracy Martin, who you're going to hear from, as well as Attorney Parks and Attorney Bryant, Reverend Bryant. And then we will take a few questions. I wanted to first say and echo Reverend Sharpton. We've got a lot of calls from government officials about when the special prosecutor makes her decision that we want to make sure that everything remains peaceful and responsible and that nothing gets out of hand. So I want to say at the very beginning, before we say anything, we want all of America, we want all the world, Reverend Sharpton, we're asking everybody who really cares about justice for Trayvon Martin to follow the example of Sabrina Fulton and Tracy Martin, his mother and father, and remaining peaceful and having faith in our system and being prayerful that everything is going to work out regardless of the great length of time that it has taken. They are such a good example of keeping your composure. And it's one of those things, nobody, as Reverend Sharpton said, nobody can be hurting more than them. Nobody can be more outraged than them. And if they can continue to carry themselves in a dignified manner, we all should. And that's what we're praying for and we're begging for and we're imploring everybody to do, especially in light of the special prosecutor's announcement that she is going to render her decision very shortly. I first want to thank Reverend Sharpton. We thank him in private, but we want to thank him in public. You know, when you look at the history of this journey, it's been 44 days now and counting. And it is one of those things when this first happened, and for whatever reason, the Sanford Police Department saw fit to accept George Zimmerman's version, this neighborhood watch captain, this armed vigilante who had a 9mm gun, who had shot this unarmed teenager, and for whatever reason saw fit to question him and let him leave the police station that night. And when Tracy Martin and his family members and some attorneys called me from Miami, it was a situation where they told Tracy Martin they were not going to arrest George Zimmerman. Now, one of my other mentors, Professor Charles Ogletree, is on the podium with us, and it is said, Reverend Bryant, that when we do get justice for Trayvon, that may be, as lawyers, our finest hour. But I disagree with that. I think our finest hour was when Tracy Martin called begging for help. And the fact that the justice system, the law enforcement, saw it perfectly fine to sweep his son's death under the rug and was not going to say a word. And it wasn't very popular at all, and nobody was marching, nobody was rallying at that time, Reverend Bryant. It was just a father saying, you know, my son didn't have a weapon. He only had a bag of Skittles and iced tea. And they're telling me that they can't understand why George Zimmerman would be the cause of his death. And they told him that the 4 reasons why they were not going to arrest George Zimmerman: he had a squeaky clean background, that he was a 4-year student in criminal justice, that he had a license to carry a concealed weapon, and number 4, that he was the captain of the neighborhood watch program. And for these reasons, they could not see how George Zimmerman could be the cause of this. And Mr. Martin asked, well, did you do a background check on my son? And they said yes. And did you also see he was squeaky clean? Said yes. And so what came out of that was we came to conclude they never did a background check on George Zimmerman that night. But they did one on Trayvon Martin, even though he was dead on the ground. Also, they did a drug and alcohol analysis on Trayvon Martin, who was dead on the ground, but did not do one on George Zimmerman. And it was these things that perpetuated itself to the point where I truly believe our finest hour was the things we did when the cameras weren't there. The fact that we called, we wrote letters, we filed legal documents and said, Tracy Martin, I can't guarantee you what's going to happen, but we're going to dare to care about your unknown son to the Sanford Police Department, Trayvon Martin. We're going to dare to care to do something for him, and that even though this was a little black boy in Sanford, Florida, when we called to New York, Reverend Al Sharpton answered the phone and said, I will stand with you, because even though he was unknown and obviously unimportant to the Sanford Police Department, every human life is important. And I think that is our finest hour, when we come to that determination that everybody matters.